President Trump has signed an executive action aimed at closing the U.S. Department of Education. And London's Heathrow Airport will be closed today, disrupting flights for hundreds of thousands of passengers worldwide. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. President Trump has signed an executive action ordering the closure of the U.S. Department of Education. He says this will direct education responsibilities back to the states, even though for the most part that is already what is happening. Trump has also slashed about half of the staff that works at the Education Department. That includes researchers at the National Center for Education Statistics, or NCES. NPR's Janaki Mehta says this could jeopardize critical funding for public schools.
Part of what NCES works on are known as formula grants for schools, things like Title I, which goes to low-income schools, and also funding for rural schools through the Rural Education Achievement Program. Those are just two examples, but if there aren't data people crunching these numbers, employees tell us it's going to be really hard for schools to get that money.
NPR's Janaki Mehta reporting. A federal judge will try again today to get answers from the Justice Department about the deportation flights of Venezuelan migrants last weekend. The agency has not been forthcoming. President Trump has called for the impeachment of U.S. District Court Judge James Boasberg. The judge wants to know if the agency has violated his orders. Two high-profile progressive members of Congress are holding rallies across the country to speak out against President Trump's agenda. They stopped for an event in suburban Phoenix. NPR's Stephen Fowler reports the lawmakers are also calling for stronger pushback by the Democratic Party.
At a packed hockey arena on Arizona State University's campus, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Bernie Sanders denounced Trump. Sanders painted Trump's Department of Government Efficiency effort to fire federal workers and slash government agencies as morally wrong and illegal.
Every single day, Trump and his friends are ignoring the Constitution of the United States of America.
But the pair also joined the growing chorus of voters who say the Democratic Party needs to do more to defend those institutions and have stronger plans to counter Trump's agenda. Stephen Fowler, NPR News, Tempe, Arizona.
The busiest airport in Europe is closed for the day after a nearby power outage. As Willem Marks reports, this is likely to affect up to 1,000 flights at London's Heathrow Airport.
A fire at a substation west of London has caused a shutdown at Heathrow, forcing the diversion of more than 100 flights that were already in the air. Australian carrier Qantas has diverted planes to Paris, while United has diverted a flight from New York to Ireland. A spokesperson for Heathrow has warned of, quote, significant disruption in the days ahead and warned passengers to avoid travelling to the airport, quote, under any circumstances. Dozens of international airlines will be forced to reconfigure their schedules to avoid Heathrow, which serves as a global hub for British Airways and several of its partners. For NPR News, I'm Willem Marks in London.
The Israeli government has accepted Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's ouster of Israel's domestic intelligence chief. The security agency known as the Shin Bet recently accepted responsibility for failures that led to the attacks on Israel on October 7, 2023. NPR's Hadil Al-Shalchi has more.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's move to fire Shin Bet's head Ronen Bar came after the agency blamed the prime minister for creating the conditions that led to the attacks of October 7, 2023. The Shin Bet is Israel's version of the FBI and is responsible for thwarting attacks by Palestinian militant groups. Barr's dismissal comes as Netanyahu ordered the resumption of the war in Gaza this week, and his ouster is viewed as an attempt to limit oversight on Netanyahu. Thousands of Israelis have been demonstrating in the streets of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem in the past days, calling for new elections and for Netanyahu to step down. Many say they are worried that Netanyahu is sliding Israel into an authoritarian-style regime. Hadil Al-Shalchi, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
Ukraine has carried out a massive and damaging drone attack on an air base in southern Russia. NPR's Eleanor Beardsley reports.
The Ingalls Air Base is in the Saratov region, about 450 miles from the front lines in Ukraine. Video on social media showed fires and huge plumes of smoke fed by explosions and secondary detonations of ammunition. The base hosts Russia's nuclear-capable heavy strategic bombers. Ukraine said the base is used to launch missile strikes on its territory and, quote, terrorist attacks against the civilian population. The governor of Saratov called it the most massive drone attack of all time. Some 30 houses around the airfield were also damaged. Eleanor Beardsley, NPR News, Kyiv.
You're listening to NPR News from Washington.